Well, the Steam Deck exists now. I'm sorry, like, what was a gaming news announcement as big as what is arguably the biggest games distributor on the planet making their own video game system? You have to talk about it. I'm not sure if they are the biggest games distributor, but considering they're basically the go-to for computer, and that if you want something that isn't from one of the major three, it's probably on Steam, should tell you how big Steam is. And Valve decided to make their own system. So, figured let's talk about it. Because I have several concerns, but it's also nice because competition breeds ingenuity, which, since this is the first actual Switch competitor, because Microsoft and Sony have basically just been having a fist fight on their own when Nintendo's just sitting back there. What I'm trying to say is this is a good thing. Okay? Okay, so I want to go in order of my thoughts, but I'm actually going to go in order of talking about the system first, because I'm sure that's going to do better for the YouTube algorithm. So, this is the Switch Deck. Steam Deck. And it worries me. Look at its controller. That's my main concern, honestly. It just looks like it's going to feel awkward. So I'm gonna go over everything on the controller quick, and then compare it to a few other controllers that have been on the market before from the major three gaming companies. Mostly Nintendo, because one, I own more Nintendo systems. Two, Nintendo usually has the weirder designs. The Wii U exists. The sticks are a bit awkwardly placed, but I definitely think they'll work. I hate the placement of the face buttons here. They're in such an awkward position. I just don't know how to feel. I'm sure they'll be fine once you get used to them, but, like, really, could you just move them down a bit, please? Speaking of things, the D-pad. It's in a weird place. It might also just be the fact it's not aligned with the sticks. It's not that big of a deal, as there aren't many games where you're using the stick and the D-pad together. You usually just end up using the stick or the D-pad. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it is a bit awkwardly placed. I'd move them with the face buttons. The start and select buttons. But honestly, they're some of the buttons I don't really mind the placements of that often. Just because you usually intentionally push them. You don't need to memorize them. You kind of just know, I need to move my finger in this area. The weird square thing, which I'm assuming is going to work as a mouse pad. I argue they should just make it a touchscreen, but that's just my guess on what this button is. The Steam button. I presume this is going to act as a home button, and I'm not sure about the three dots, though. And then there's the screen. As I mentioned earlier, I'm hoping and assuming this is going to be a touchscreen. It's just something that would make a lot of games that use mouse controls work decently well on this system. So, that's my assumption on that. And then I'll mention all the shoulder buttons, because I don't have a good render of them. There are 8 of them. There are 8 shoulder buttons. That's just excessive. Now, the reason I'm so concerned with the controller is just the placement of a few things. And, like, I'll show you how I hold normal controllers. So, I'll be showing you some of the standard ones on the market, like Xbox, PlayStation, and then some of the more ones that closely resemble the shape and kind of literally just the Nintendo Switch kind of esque-ness. guess Nintendo's done a few Switch-esque systems before the Switch, so. Because that's the same kind of thing this is going for. And by the way, if they are going for a Switch-esque thing, please have a good kickstand. I'm only gonna show one traditional controller, because I hold the PlayStation 3 controller, PlayStation 4 controller, Xbox 360 controller, Nintendo Switch Pro controller, Wii U Pro controller. Almost exactly the same, just with the slight things of different placements of the sticks. But they all, like, I hold them like this. Like, look where my thumbs go for the sticks. Obviously, this is a smaller controller that doesn't have a screen built into it. But I think that still shows the problem of most controllers have a stick at the top left and one at the bottom right with the D-pads and face buttons filling out those extra slots. Alright then, how about the Switch? Because that actually is probably about the same size, I'm guessing, with, again, a very similar mechanic. And the answer is just plain in the details. The Switch kept the controller style of normal controllers, which allows you to play like normal. This is the only one I actually was playing a game for, because my other controllers couldn't connect to anything. But, like, look at my movements. By the way, I don't play Cloud at all. But, like, look at where my fingers and thumbs are going. This is how I hold a controller. And comparing that, here's the Wii U. I honestly think this is the closest comparison to the Steam Deck. But the thing, like, honestly, they're very similar in shape, but just the movement of the face buttons makes such a massive difference in comfort. And just know I was literally 5 feet away from my Wii U. But, like, this is the kind of controller you want for something like a Steam Deck, minus the disconnecting after 5 feet. It's the right shape, it's the right size, maybe it could be a bit bigger, but... And the buttons are all in great places. By the way, I have nothing to compare the freaking 8 shoulder buttons to. But this works. I like this. It's the right shape, size, and placements. They should be going for a Wii U, kinda. Anyway, here is Valve's freaking marketing, and it's great. Valve, I said, again, Steam is the biggest games distributor on the planet. When they announced this, they just threw it at the front of the store page and went, well, there's all of our marketing. The internet will do the rest. And they weren't wrong. I heard about it from Steam, but if you didn't, you likely heard a content creator you watch on YouTube, Twitch, mention this. Hell, I'm mentioning this. A content creator you watch, presumably, is mentioning this. That's their marketing. And it's great. But on top of that, can we just appreciate their anti-scalper mechanism? You had to have bought a game before June 2021 to even register. Which that might sound a bit harsh, but to be honest, it really isn't. It's less than 2 months of leeway, like of non-leeway. So unless you literally got Steam in June, you're good. And most people who would be interested in this would have Steam no matter what, because if you play games and have a computer, you probably have a Steam account. It's that simple. And then on top of that, it's one per customer. If you tried to buy it too many times, it temporarily blocked you. All that stuff. It's really nice. But the price is frankly a bit ridiculous. Like, the base model is 400 gigabytes. Sorry, $400. And that's a reasonable price. The maxed out model, which, here's what it adds, that, because all the other stuff is like Steam cosmetic stuff, you get glare-proof glass and SSD. Faster loading times. For an extra $400. Yeah, I think I'm gonna, like, why? Like, honestly, I'd be fine with two models if there was the SSD model with glare and it was like $600, which is the middle of the road model with SSD. But, frankly, like, I would probably get their screen model if it were a reasonable price. I guess, speaking of which, I have a 64 gig reserved, because I might cancel it, honestly. It really depends on announcements. Also known as, it depends on if Atlas wants me to get it. Yeah, I'm letting a video game company decide if I buy a video game system. Is Persona 6 gonna be PlayStation 5 exclusive? Or is it gonna be on the 4? That's basically all there is to deciding whether or not I get this. Mostly because I'll probably have the money. I mean, I was able to save up for a PlayStation 4 in like 3 months. I think I have 9 months, I'll be good. Hey look, the end card. It's not that exciting. But also, I really love how I freaking made the Steam UI into like just very simple geometric shapes. I'm sorry, it makes a nice background for this video. I like it a lot. Speaking of that, like and subscribe!